Hi, everybody. On this home stretch of sorts, before those who celebrate usher in the birth of the Christ child, we will share some reflections on this season. The first one, Promise, Patience, Peace, is from Reverend Rebecca Littlejohn, pastor of Vista La Mesa Christian Church, Disciples of Christ. In many ways, Rebecca and I think a lot alike, and that was even before she became my pastor almost 3 years ago. Here she uses a somewhat obscure text out of 2 Peter, which speaks of timing. Pastor Rebecca dares to ask us if we think of God as tarrying, of God as being late, particularly in these times of COVID. But I also invite you to, as always, to also pivot to race and the confronting and dismantling of white supremacy and racism, even as we labor. However intermittently, however ambivalently, however sporadically, however ineptly sometimes, we can still feel some consternation towards God, right? God could just wipe out all of this racism and supremacy and xenophobic mishigas in one sweep of their hand. So why haven't they seen fit to do so? Why am I doing all this damn work? Again, however fitfully and artlessly, and they seem to be totally snoring, just completely asleep at the wheel. There's often no small amount of, well, resentment when we are forced to clean up messes we never made, or even when we refuse to admit those messes that we actually did have a hand in. We complain about the trash bag on the sidewalk, even as we keep walking, as we ourselves miss the trash can with our Starbucks sippy cup. And the next person who was faced with a sippy cup they did not defile, who resents and deflects as well. Even the idea of a choice that stops us short, or doesn't stop us short, makes for this resentment to pick up the bag or the cup, to meet the eyes of our friend on the corner of Broadway in Lemon Grove. We know better. We know better than to think that God is going to intervene in the bag or in the cup. Although, gotta say, that trash can is not even 3 feet away. Pretty handy. Thanks, Hashem. Our friend on Broadway is a different story, though, right? Why doesn't God give him a house and a full larder? Why can't God fix that limp? Why can't God replace his taste for vodka in favor of a smoothie? Why does God drop all of these balls with this guy? And why on earth am I forced to do a job better suited to a deity? This is above my pay grade. This is above my care capacity. Well, in her sermon, Pastor Rebecca speaks to this. Pastor Rebecca dares to ask, what if this whole time we thought we were waiting on God? It turns out that God was waiting on us. That's stunning. I mean, it's breathtaking. Almost beyond my bandwidth. But yeah, I do. I get it. I get it. Two stories. Two stories. The first one has to do with a counselor slash supervisor I had almost 20 years ago, and he kept me on for 12 years, and awesome. We had been going on and on and on, meandering without purpose, or so it felt to me. Just, I'd go in there, we'd talk about my cases, and then we'd just yak for another 40 minutes, and then I'd leave. What were we doing? So one day, years in, frustrated with the seeming lack of progress, I asked Art, I said, "Do you have a game plan for any of this? And by the way, did you even make up a case formulation for me? I mean, do you have any idea of where you want this thing to go?" "Oh, yeah," he said. "Yes, yes, I've had an idea of where I want to go with you since our very first week together. We have been getting ready to eventually get there." Ooh. As always, then and now, everything was and is fodder, including the preparation for preparation. Just like with outside resources, there is a time and a pacing and a timing and a patience, not just pacing, patience. Art had it for me, this shiny A student who could belch out all of the answers, but who had yet to be able to truly meet her client's eyes. The trauma survivor who giggled as she told her story of pain. The compassion when I doubted his wisdom, his timing, his very confidence, and sometimes I said it out loud. I too can be quite violent. Which is what leads to the second point. There is a movie. I didn't watch it, but I know enough about the cultural zeitgeist to remember lines in the movie. And I think it was from A Few Good Men, and I think the actor was Tom Cruise. And one of the characters is on the witness stands, and he yells, "You can't handle the truth!" Wow, that is so true in parts of our lives, many parts of our lives. For some of us, most parts of our lives. We are not ready. Our task is to become ready. Our task is not to demand of God, "How could you let things get so bad? How could you let it come to this?" Because just as Pastor Rebecca challenges us, God could make the exact same query of us. How did y'all let it come to this? How did y'all let my creation get to be so bad? If we are going to demand answers from God, we need to turn the mirror to ourselves and begin to demand answers of ourselves individually and collectively. We all need to acquire skills on two tracks. We need to become more and more ready to become ready. We need to become willing to become more willing. We need to find the competence to acquire and deploy competence. We need to be open and soft and porous. So when the word, or the capital W, when the word comes, it will not meet with hard ground and run off down the hill to the sewer main. And we need to remember the skills and talents and capacities that we have now, right now, even before we see the full picture, even before we can imagine the fullest tapestries. Near the end of Rebecca's time with us, she charges us well. I'm not going to tell you exactly what she says, That's for you to discover. And yes, that is a really, really manipulative way to get you to click on the link so that you can see what she says and also read her sermon notes. I won't tell you what she says. That is for you to discover and confront. But yes, we have jobs to do, even as we see through opaque and tinted glass. Even as we see through these glasses darkly and frosted. Even as we wonder about everyone else's obligations, including the deities, we focus on ourselves as to what we are charged to do, and I will bet you money that what you are actually charged to do is definitely always more than what you think it is or you hope it is. So double down. Double down. Keep walking.